We've had vicious kings, and we've had idiot kings, but I don't know if we've ever been cursed with a vicious idiot for a king. Tyrion Lannister shouts this at his nephew Joffrey in Season 2, Episode 6, inside the Red Keep, moments after they've barely escaped a full-scale riot that Joffrey himself triggered. The streets of King's Landing are chaos. The High Septon has been literally torn apart by the mob. Sansa Stark is missing, lost in the violence. People are dead because of one impulsive, idiotic order from a king who has no understanding of leadership. And Joffrey standing there in his royal finery, his face still smeared with the cow dung someone threw at him, tries to remind his uncle of his place. "You can't insult me." Tyrion doesn't hesitate. "I can. I am." Joffrey stammers, tries again. "They attacked me." And Tyrion explodes. "They threw a cow pie at you, so you decided to kill them all? They're starving, you fool. All because of a war you started. You're talking to a king." Joffrey shrieks, his voice breaking, his authority crumbling. And then Tyrion does something that changes everything. He slaps Joffrey across the face, hard. The sound echoes through the chamber. Then he delivers the line that proves who truly holds power in King's Landing. "And now I've struck a king. Did my hand fall from my wrist?" Tyrion looks at his hand, still attached, still functioning. He looks at the Kingsguard standing nearby, man sworn to protect the king, man who should arrest or kill anyone who strikes him. They do nothing. He looks at Joffrey, who is standing there, stunned, humiliated, powerless. And the message is clear. The crown doesn't make you powerful. The throne doesn't make you a king. Authority isn't given by birth or title. Power is taken by those strong enough to wield it. And in this moment, Tyrion Lannister, the dwarf, the drunk, the disappointment of House Lannister, has more real power than the King of the Seven Kingdoms. This scene proves that Tyrion is the true ruler of King's Landing, not through birthright or violence, but through intelligence, courage, and the ability to do what Joffrey cannot, lead. Let's examine how this riot exposes Joffrey's complete failure as a king, why Tyrion's slap represents a transfer of power, and what this scene reveals about the nature of authority in Westeros. The riot, how a king destroys his own city. The scene begins with Princess Myrcella's departure to Dorne. She's being sent away to marry Prince Trystane Martell as part of Tyrion's diplomatic strategy to secure Dorne's alliance against Stannis Baratheon. The streets of King's Landing are packed with people, but these aren't celebrating crowds. They're desperate, starving refugees from the War of the Five Kings, a war that Joffrey started by executing Ned Stark against all advice. As the royal party walks through the streets, the mood is hostile. People hurl insults. Someone screams, "Bastard," at Joffrey. Others call him murderer. Then someone throws cow dung. It hits Joffrey directly in the face. For any competent leader, this would be a moment to show restraint. You're surrounded by hundreds of starving, desperate people with only a few dozen guards. The smart move is to ignore the insult, get to safety, and address the unrest later with food distribution or some other measure to calm the population. But Joffrey isn't a competent leader. He's a spoiled child with absolute power and zero self-control. "Kill them all!" he screams, wiping excrement from his face. The order is insane. Kill who? Everyone in the crowd? The person who threw it? How would the guards even identify that person? And how would 24 guards kill hundreds of people without getting overwhelmed? But the Kingsguard and Lannister guards try to obey. They wade into the crowd with swords drawn. They start killing indiscriminately. And the crowd, already angry and desperate, explodes into full riot. People attack the guards. Others run in panic. The violence spreads like wildfire through the streets. The Hound grabs Joffrey and starts dragging him to safety while Joffrey screams about traitors. The High Septon, the leader of the Faith of the Seven, the most holy man in Westeros, is caught in the chaos. The mob tears him apart. Literally, his arm is ripped off and held aloft like a trophy. Tyrion watches in horror, realizes Sansa Stark was with them, and is now lost in the riot. He desperately tries to organize a search while getting Joffrey and Cersei to safety. The riot that follows is catastrophic. People die. The city descends into chaos. And all of it, every death, every moment of violence, every tragedy, flows directly from Joffrey's inability to control his temper for 5 seconds. Inside the Red Keep, the king who learns nothing. Once they're safely behind the walls of the Red Keep, you'd expect Joffrey to realize the magnitude of his mistake, to understand that his order just got people killed, including the High Septon. To show some awareness that he nearly got himself torn apart by a mob. But Joffrey has learned nothing. Traitors all have all their heads. He's still raging, still demanding executions, still treating the riot as an attack on his authority rather than a consequence of his own stupidity. This is when Tyrion's patience finally snaps. "Oh, you blind, bloody fool," Joffrey spins on him. "You can't insult me." And this is the crucial moment, because Joffrey's instinct, even after everything that just happened, is to defend his dignity, to remind people that he's the king and therefore beyond criticism. He has no self-awareness, no ability to see his own role in the disaster, no understanding that being king means accepting responsibility. He just knows that people aren't supposed to criticize him, and when they do, he threatens them. This works on most people. Cersei enables him. The Kingsguard obeys him. The courtiers flatter him. Everyone around Joffrey has spent his entire life teaching him that the title king means you can do whatever you want without consequences. But Tyrion isn't most people. The verbal destruction Tyrion's response to, "You can't insult me," is legendary. We've had vicious kings, and we've had idiot kings. But I don't know if we've ever been cursed with a vicious idiot for a king. Let's appreciate how devastating this insult actually is. Vicious kings? Tyrion is acknowledging that some kings are cruel. Maegor the Cruel, Aerys the Mad King. Kings who committed atrocities. This is damning enough. Idiot kings. Some kings are incompetent. They make bad decisions. They fail at ruling. This is also terrible. Vicious idiot. But Joffrey is both. He combines the cruelty of the worst kings with the incompetence of the dumbest kings. He's not just bad at being a king. He's bad in every way it's possible to be bad. And Tyrion delivers this assessment loudly, clearly, with absolute conviction. Joffrey tries to assert his authority. "You can't. I can. I am." Tyrion shoots back immediately. This is crucial. Tyrion isn't asking permission. He's not being cowed by Joffrey's title. He's simply stating a fact. "I can insult you, and I'm doing it right now. What are you going to do about it?" Joffrey tries to justify his actions. "They attacked me," and Tyrion tears that excuse apart. "They threw a cow pie at you, so you decided to kill them all? They're starving, you fool. All because of a war you started." Every word is a knife. Every sentence exposes another layer of Joffrey's failure. A cow pie, not a weapon. Not a real attack. Just dumb. An insult, yes, but not a threat to the king's life. Kill them all. The response was wildly disproportionate. Insane. Indefensible. They're starving. Context matters. These people are desperate, and Joffrey doesn't even see them as human beings with legitimate grievances. A war you started. This is the kill shot. The reason people are starving is because Joffrey executed Ned Stark, triggering the War of the Five Kings. Every refugee, every death, every moment of suffering traces back to Joffrey's impulsive cruelty. Tyrion is systematically dismantling any possible defense of Joffrey's actions. And he's doing it in front of witnesses. The Kingsguard, Cersei, servants, guards. He's not just criticizing Joffrey, he's publicly destroying any remaining illusion that Joffrey is fit to rule. The slap that changed everything. Joffrey, realizing he's losing the argument, falls back on his final defense. "You're talking to a king!" It's all he has left. He can't justify his actions. He can't win the argument on facts or logic. So he reminds everyone of his title, hoping it will shut Tyrion up. In any normal situation, this would work. In Westeros, the king's word is law. Disrespecting the king is treason. Striking the king is death. But Tyrion does it anyway. Slap. The sound of Tyrion's open palm hitting Joffrey's face echoes through the chamber. Joffrey stumbles. His eyes go wide with shock. No one has ever struck him before. Not as king. Probably not ever in his life. And Tyrion, calmly, almost conversationally, says, "And now I've struck a king. Did my hand fall from my wrist?" This line is perfect, because it exposes the fundamental why that Joffrey's power is based on. The idea that kings are sacred, untouchable, divinely appointed. It's all a fiction. A useful fiction that helps maintain order, but a fiction nonetheless. Tyrion just struck the king, and nothing happened. His hand didn't fall off. The gods didn't strike him down. The Kingsguard didn't arrest him. Because in this moment, in this room, everyone understands the truth. Joffrey's power is imaginary. The crown only gives you authority if people choose to respect it. And right now, no one in this room respects Joffrey. The Kingsguard stands there, silent. They should arrest Tyrion. They should defend their king, but they don't. Because they know Tyrion is right. They know Joffrey just caused a riot through his own stupidity. They know the city is in chaos because of the king's incompetence. And more importantly, they know that Tyrion is the one actually running King's Landing. He's the hand. He's preparing the defenses against Stannis. He's making the decisions that keep the city functioning. Joffrey is just the boy wearing the crown. The power behind the throne. After slapping Joffrey, Tyrion immediately pivots to the practical crisis. Where is the Stark girl? She's their hostage, their leverage against the North, potentially their only bargaining chip to get Jaime back from Robb Stark. This is what a leader does. Assess the situation, identify the most pressing problem, take action to solve it. Joffrey's response: let them have her. He's still sulking, still focused on his wounded pride. He doesn't care that Sansa is valuable. He doesn't care that she might be in danger. He just wants to punish everyone who displeased him today. Tyrion has to spell it out. If she dies, you'll never get your Uncle Jaime back. You owe him quite a bit, you know. The last part is a subtle reminder of the truth everyone knows but doesn't say. Jaime is Joffrey's real father. If Sansa dies and the Starks execute Jaime in retaliation, Joffrey loses his biological father. This is Tyrion wielding information as a weapon. Reminding Joffrey, without quite saying it directly, that his entire claim to the throne is based on a lie, and that Tyrion knows it. Joffrey scowls but doesn't respond. Because what can he say? Tyrion is right, and they both know it. What this scene reveals about real power. This confrontation exposes a fundamental truth about power in Westeros, and in any society. Authority is not the same as power. Joffrey has authority, he's the king, he wears the crown. He sits the Iron Throne. In theory, his word is law. In theory, everyone must obey him. But he has no real power. Because power requires more than a title. Power requires competence. Joffrey can give orders, but they're stupid orders that make situations worse. A leader who makes things worse every time he acts doesn't have power. He's a liability. Power requires respect. People obey Joffrey because they have to, not because they want to. They fear consequences, not him personally. The moment they stop fearing those consequences, his authority evaporates. Power requires self-control. Joffrey is ruled by his emotions. Someone insults him, and he lashes out without thinking. Someone throws dung at him, and he orders mass murder. A leader who can't control himself can't control anything. Power requires understanding consequences. Joffrey never thinks past the immediate moment. He doesn't consider that killing starving people might cause a riot. He doesn't anticipate that his actions will have repercussions. Tyrion has all of these things. He's competent. His strategies work. He's respected. People follow his orders because they make sense. He has self-control. Even when furious at Joffrey, he stays focused on solving problems. And he understands consequences. He predicted this riot would happen and tried to prevent it. This is why Tyrion can slap the king and face no consequences. Because everyone in that room knows that Tyrion is the real power in King's Landing, and Joffrey is just the figurehead. The Kingsguard's silence. The most telling detail in his entire scene is what the Kingsguard doesn't do. There are multiple Kingsguard present when Tyrion slaps Joffrey. These are men sworn to protect the king with their lives. Their entire purpose is to defend him from any threat. And someone just struck the king in front of them. They should arrest Tyrion immediately. They should draw swords. At minimum, they should demand an explanation or wait for the king's orders. But they do nothing. They just stand there, silent, watching. Why? Because they understand what's happening. They see that Joffrey caused the riot through his own stupidity. They know Tyrion is right to be furious. They recognize that Tyrion is the one actually keeping the city safe, while Joffrey plays at being king. And perhaps most importantly, they don't fear Joffrey enough to risk Tyrion's wrath. Think about that. The Kingsguard is more afraid of angering the Hand than of disobeying the king. That's not respect for Joffrey's authority. That's a clear statement about where real power lies. The broader pattern. This isn't the first time Tyrion has slapped Joffrey, and it won't be the last time he publicly humiliates him. In Season 1, Tyrion slapped Joffrey 3 times in quick succession for his mistreatment of Sansa and his general cruelty. Even then, before Tyrion was hanged, he could get away with it. Throughout Season 2, Tyrion repeatedly overrules Joffrey's orders, countermands his decisions, and makes it clear who's actually running King's Landing. During the Battle of the Blackwater, when Joffrey wants to flee the battlefield, Tyrion is the one who stays and leads. Joffrey's cowardice nearly loses them the battle. The pattern is clear. Joffrey wears the crown, but Tyrion wields the power. And this scene, the slap after the riot, is the most public, most undeniable demonstration of that truth. Why this matters more than you think. This scene is often remembered for its satisfaction factor. We love watching Tyrion slap Joffrey because Joffrey deserves it. He's cruel, stupid, and insufferable, and seeing him put in his place is deeply satisfying. But the scene is important for a deeper reason. It reveals the fragility of tyranny. Joffrey's entire reign is based on fear and intimidation. He rules because people are afraid of what will happen if they disobey. He punishes disloyalty with death. He uses his Kingsguard to enforce his will through violence. But fear only works if people believe in the consequences. And once someone, Tyrion, demonstrates that you can defy the king without facing those consequences, the spell is broken. After Tyrion slaps Joffrey and nothing happens, everyone in King's Landing has seen proof. The king is weak. The crown doesn't protect him. His authority is hollow. This is why Joffrey's reign never stabilizes. Why he faces constant challenges to his authority. Why even his own mother struggles to control the nobility. Because everyone has seen that the king has no real power. They've watched Tyrion run the city while Joffrey sulks. They've seen Tyrion slap the king and walk away unpunished. Once people know you're powerless, you can't get that fear back. You can't restore authority through threats when everyone has watched those threats go unenforced. The cost of being right. But there's a darker side to this victory for Tyrion. Yes, he's proven he's more powerful than the king. Yes, he's exposed Joffrey's incompetence. Yes, he's maintained order in the city despite Joffrey's best efforts to destroy it. But he's also made a lifelong enemy. Joffrey doesn't forget humiliations. He's petty, vindictive, and patient when it comes to revenge. And Tyrion just humiliated him in front of the Kingsguard, the royal family, and witnesses who will spread this story throughout the city. At Joffrey's wedding in Season 4, much of Joffrey's cruelty toward Tyrion, the dwarf jousting entertainment, the dumping of wine, the public humiliation, is payback for moments like this. For every time Tyrion made Joffrey look weak, stupid, or powerless. And when Tyrion is accused of Joffrey's murder, part of why people believe it so easily is because everyone knows how much Tyrion hated Joffrey. How many times Tyrion had insulted him, struck him, undermined him. Tyrion's power over Joffrey is real, but it comes with a price. By proving he's more powerful than the king, he's marked himself as a threat to be eliminated. This is the paradox of power in Westeros. Being powerful makes you safe in the short term but vulnerable in the long term, because everyone who sees your power starts planning how to take it from you. The comparison to Tywin. It's worth comparing this scene to how Tyrion Lannister deals with Joffrey. In Season 3, when Tywin becomes Hand after Tyrion is wounded at the Blackwater, he also has to manage Joffrey's incompetence. And he does it very differently than Tyrion. Tywin doesn't slap Joffrey. He doesn't insult him publicly. He doesn't humiliate him in front of others. Instead, Tywin uses quiet intimidation. He walks up the steps of the Iron Throne while lecturing Joffrey, forcing the king to either look down at him showing subservience or stand up, showing Tywin him out of his throne. He speaks in measured tones but with absolute authority. He makes it clear who's in charge, without ever raising his voice. This is a more sophisticated approach than Tyrion's. It establishes dominance without creating the public spectacle that will come back to haunt Tyrion later. But Tyrion isn't Tywin. He doesn't have his father's cold, calculating patience. When Tyrion is angry, and he has every right to be angry after Joffrey nearly got everyone killed, he expresses it directly, loudly, with a slap that everyone sees. This is both Tyrion's strength and his weakness. His honesty makes him beloved by some and hated by others. His inability to hide his contempt for Joffrey makes him more human than Tywin, but less politically safe. The question the scene asks. Ultimately, this scene poses a question that echoes throughout Game of Thrones. What makes someone a king? Is it the crown, the throne, the title, the bloodline? Or is it competence, respect, the ability to lead, the wisdom to make good decisions? Joffrey has all the trappings of kingship, but he's not a king in any meaningful sense. He's a child playing dress-up with real consequences. Tyrion has none of the traditional markers of kingship. He's a dwarf, a second son, a drunk, someone the realm mocks and dismisses. But in this scene, he's more kingly than the king. He makes better decisions. He keeps a cooler head. He focuses on solving problems rather than nursing his ego. He commands respect through competence rather than demanding it through threats. The show doesn't give us a clear answer to which version of kingship is right, but it shows us which one works better. Tyrion's leadership saves lives. Joffrey's leadership gets people killed. The final truth. And now I've struck a king. Did my hand fall from my wrist? This one question reveals everything about power in Westeros. Tyrion struck the king, and nothing happened. His hand didn't fall off. The gods didn't punish him. The Kingsguard didn't arrest him. Because power isn't about crowns or bloodlines or divine right. Power is about who people listen to when it matters, who they trust to lead them through crisis, who can make decisions that work instead of decisions that create more problems. In this scene, Tyrion proved he had all of those things, and Joffrey proved he had none of them. The dwarf was more powerful than the king, not because he was stronger or richer or better born, but because when the city was burning and people were dying and leadership was needed, Tyrion was the one who provided it. And everyone, from the Kingsguard to Cersei to the servants to the common people, knew it. This one scene proved Tyrion Lannister was more powerful than the King of the Seven Kingdoms, because the crown doesn't make you powerful. Power makes you powerful, and Tyrion had it. Joffrey didn't. The slap just made it official.